What up? What up? It is Alex, the Fantasy Football Hustler. We are back with some IDP action, and we are doing an IDP Divisional Depth Chart breakdown. If you did not see the NFC East video, go watch that on the channel. We are breaking down the AFC West here, and we are going to be starting with the champs. Let's start with the champs here. And one of the players here, a lot of, I'm not going to say negative stuff, but he's fallen off so much in the drafts and the value compared to the previous years. And it's because he got hurt last year. Nick Bolton. That's someone who I'm targeting in every single draft that I can, because previously over the last couple of years, you got to get him as a top 4 LB. A lot of times a top 4 IDP option in general. Now it ain't nothing like that. Like, you can get him around LB 12. I've seen him go even after that as well. So Nick Bolton, an oldie but a goodie. He's not even super old. He's just, it seems like he was on top for so long that this one season of him sucking because he got injured, and it was to his hand, wasn't to his legs or anything like that. Yeah, Nick Bolton, better go pick him up if you're able to in your drafts this year. Now, one of the other guys who's really hyped on this squad is going to be George Karlaftis, a guy they picked in the second round a couple years ago. I feel like I would rather have George Karlaftis over Chris Jones. I feel like we are going to get a bigger breakout this year than last year from Karlaftis. And you really don't want anybody else on that line besides Karlaftis and Chris Jones anyways. And Chris Jones being the interior defensive lineman, he gets a bunch of sacks, but there's so many times where he's getting double teamed and triple teamed that it's like someone else who's going to end up getting to the quarterback. Let's see. All right. The other linebackers, I'm not excited about Drew Tranquill or Leo Chenal. Drew Tranquill, he is going to be a starter like this year. Like last year, he was not a starter. He was behind Willie Gay, and he did okay. But I feel like now, like last year, people thought that Tranquill was going to be the starter. He was not. So I was okay getting him, like if you could get him at a value, but most people were drafting him last year like he was a starter. Now this year, now that he is going to be a starter, I feel like his draft value is just going to go up, and I'm probably not going to want any part of that. I'd rather get him way later than Nick Bolton, but like Nick Bolton, you're able to get him as a double-digit IDP guy, and he should be getting drafted way higher than that. Leo Chenal, super nervous about him. Just feels like a failed experiment so far. I know it's only been a couple years, but yeah, I'm off. Yeah, I'm off Leo Chenal as far as fantasy goes. And look at kid, Leo Chenal was one of PFF's darlings of 2023. And yeah, and maybe it's like a better for real life than better for fantasy, right? I know he had some games, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know why. Man, it's hard to even put into words, because like he has all the intangibles, right? It's not like he got 10-20% of the snaps. So let's see if he can take a step up. But that's also why I don't want him, because you probably got to get him higher than what he's worth. But yeah, but maybe a better real life linebacker than fantasy football. We're usually not going for the cornerbacks on any teams, but the Chiefs, they had L'Jarius Sneed for the longest time, and he's not there anymore. And he was someone who offenses would even throw the opposite way of him, and he still ended up getting a lot of points. If you're going to take a shot on like one of these guys, maybe, but it's hard to take a shot on some cornerbacks on most teams. Like, it took L'Jarius Sneed a few years for us to really give him that respect to know that he was going to be getting a shitload of tackles. These guys should be putting up a lot of tackles, but I'm not going to go say get them. It's Josh Williams and Jalen Watson. I'd rather be going out and getting Justin Reed and Brian Cook unless you play in leagues with cornerbacks. Justin Reed was pretty solid last year. Brian Cook, let's see if we can get a little uptick in his tackles. That's something that should happen, especially with the difference in Sneed, because yeah, maybe Brian Cook, he's probably going to be a guy who gets thrown over the top in a lot of random situations. And yeah, Kid said Reed's underrated, McDuffie's fine. And yeah, for sure. They got he's going to be Trent McDuffie is going to be the nickel. So that he's the one that I wanted to save for last. If there's going to be a cornerback who you're going to target there, it probably is going to be Trent McDuffie. I really, just like he said, just like Kid has said, Reed's underrated, McDuffie's fine. Solid guys, though. If you're playing the format that we play in, we do defensive linemen. So it's all the defensive linemen jumbled together, then linebackers, and then defensive backs. So more often than not, if you don't have a cornerback spot, you're really not trying to get a cornerback on your squad unless it is the nickel corner. Like, those are the guys who are the exception to the rule, the nickel corners. They're pretty much, it's like a hybrid linebacker and safety, right? All combined to be that nickel corner. So all in all, I feel like a guy like Drew Tranquill, a guy like Leo Chenal, those guys are going to be overvalued, and I don't want to go for them. Nick Bolton going to be undervalued as far as how he was going the last couple years. That's really the star on this squad that I'm trying to go for. George Karlaftis and Chris Jones, you can get them late. I'm not really targeting them too much, but those would be the guys on the line who I would be targeting if you're really waiting on defensive linemen. And then Justin Reed and Trent McDuffie, those would be the guys in the defensive back that I would be targeting as well. And so there is KC. Let's jump over to the Chargers. And here we go. Let's jump over here to the Los Angeles Chargers. And of course, the top dog on the Chargers is still Derwin James, pretty much the only one who's being drafted with any kind of value. Everybody else on the Chargers, very, very blah as far as like where they're getting drafted, and for good reason as well. Guy who's been drafted very high for a huge portion of his career and didn't deserve it is Joey Bosa. Stay away from Joey Bosa. He always gets hurt. I know he's in a contract year, always figures out a way to get hurt. Just stay away from Joey Bosa. The linebackers, who I'm a little bit excited about, especially because of where you draft them. It ain't Khalil Mack, because if you're in a league with Crispy, he's going to jump up and grab Khalil Mack before you. And Khalil Mack just had that one game last year where it was like he had 6 sacks in one game. If you get him on your squad, just play him versus the Raiders. That's it. You only got to play him like 2 games throughout the season, and hopefully he just kills it for those 2 games for you. But no, I'm excited for Denzel Perryman for one. I think a lot of people don't even realize that Denzel Perryman moved over to the Chargers. He'll be that guy, I feel, who leads the Chargers, assuming health, that he's going to lead the team in tackles, lead the Chargers in tackles. Junior Colson. I know our man Tino is out there right now saying that's the guy. That's the guy who's going to lead the Chargers in tackles. It could be Junior Colson, but I don't think just as a rookie, he's going to come on there and just absolutely kill it, be in the 100 solo tackle category. But Junior Colson, he is one of the rookie linebackers that I like this year. Him and Edrin Cooper are probably like the 2 biggest ones. Pause. But yeah, Junior Colson. Let's see if Jim Harbaugh, let's see if he's going to get Junior Colson to play just as hard for him in the pros as he did in college. And someone who you can get, someone who super good last year, because like you pretty much got him just off the waiver wire, like out of nowhere. What up, Matt? Got him off the waiver wire out of nowhere. Alohi Gilman. Still, you're going to be able to go get him for nothing in these drafts. And I know we're mostly trying to target the strong safeties, but Alohi Gilman, he's one of those ones, those free safeties, man. He gets a lot of tackles, very consistent. The upside, he doesn't have Derwin James upside, but a guy who can get you easily 10 to 15 points a game, most games out. Yeah, easily he's doing that. We're talking IDP 1-2-3 scoring, IDP 1-2-3 scoring. But yeah, Alohi Gilman, he's probably the one that I will have the most of. Nah, I probably have more Denzel Perryman, because Denzel Perryman you're going to be able to get from nothing as well. Denzel Perryman you're probably going to be able to get with legit your last draft pick in your draft with IDP. And so I'll probably have more Perryman than anything, but Alohi Gilman I feel like I'll have second most, because you're going to be able to get him for almost nothing as well. He's going to be really good bench depth, and I bet early that the Chargers offense struggles and they're going to be on the field a little bit more anyways. So yeah, guy I like Alohi Gilman. I like it. The lineman for the Chargers, we talked about Joey Bosa. He's like an outside linebacker, but I know most people just think of him as a lineman. I'm not targeting any one of the linemen over here for the Chargers. I say don't waste your time. There's a lot better guys that you can get. And Asante Samuel, someone who in real life is a fucking beast at the cornerback position. teams are not straying away from him necessarily. So someone who can get a lot of tackles. If I was going to get a cornerback over there, I'm not going to stray away from a guy like Asante Samuel, like super late. He's got big playability. He makes the tackles as well. That would be someone who I'd be okay targeting, especially if you play in a league where you start cornerbacks. All right. There's the Chargers. We're jumping over to the Broncos next. All right. Here we go. We are moving on to the Denver Broncos and Alex Singleton. Draft him. Don't worry about anybody else. All right, we're moving on to the Raiders. Just kidding. But Alex Singleton definitely is the top dog of this team right now. One of the new faces over here is Cody Barton, another inside linebacker who I'm very excited because you literally get him for free. So he's going to be bench depth. Like, he's not someone you're going to be drafting as a starter or anything. He might be like legit the last IDP guy that you draft. Broncos offense should suck and their defense should be on the field a lot. And that's one of the characteristics that we like to go along with our IDP players. So if that ends up being the case, that their offense just sucks, that means their defense should be on the field just for a really good percentage of time compared to other teams. But yeah, Alex Singleton, Cody Barton. Alex Singleton, you're going to have to pay up for a little bit because I know he's being drafted at least as a top 24 linebacker. Cody Barton, like I said, you might be able to get him legit with one of your last picks in your draft. So that's why I like him over there. Zach Allen, that is someone, he's moved around a lot. And not a lot, but he was on the Cardinals and he was on the come up over there and comes over here to Denver. I really feel like if you want a super, super late like type of DL, it would be someone. If I drafted Zach Allen, I'm drafting him with one of my last draft picks, and he might even start like on my team, but he would get 1 or 2 games. And then if he doesn't do good, we're probably just moving on from getting someone else. John Franklin Myers, excited about him because you can get him super late. All of these guys have the same thing in common. Their offense is going to suck more than likely. We think their offense is going to suck, right? So they should just be on the field a bunch. If you're playing from behind, it's going to be hard to just rush the QB like all the time. But either way, these guys are guys who you're able to get for free. So that's the only reason that I'd really be considering them. Let's see. Patrick Surtain, he's going way too early, like for me. Like a lot of guys, just it seems like they're going way too early. He's definitely one of them. We try not to get the cornerbacks anyways. We want to target the strong safeties as much as possible. And Caden Stearns, I don't know. We've been going after the same guy on the Denver Broncos as far as like in their DB spots, and he's not there. He's not there anymore. So Caden Stearns, maybe he's a guy that should be on the field a bunch. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to bring him up in the pocket. No fucking idea. So he'd be a guy I probably would not be drafting. I would just be on my radar as someone who, if he does good in week 1 or week 2, probably going to be swooping him up because we do know there's usually one good safety. For a lot of times it was the free safety when it came to the Broncos, but there's usually one good safety on a lot of these teams who's getting a lot of the tackles. Let's pay attention in the first couple weeks, see who it is over here. Jonathan Cooper, Baron Browning, those would be guys if you play in super deep leagues. Like maybe I might try to roster one of them because their offense sucks. Okay, so you got the same things going for him that the other guys do here. Cooper would be the guy over Baron who I'd be targeting if I'm going that deep. You got to be starting 9-10 guys if you're going that deep. If you can start a handful of linebackers, maybe Jonathan Cooper's a guy who I get into the mix. Probably more of a dynasty guy than redraft. All right. There we have it. There is the Broncos. I just like to talk, so we got a couple minutes out of the Broncos. But yeah, for the most part, the Broncos defense is going to be trash. They're going to have a couple IDP players that are going to be worth grabbing, though. That's always how it works. Here we go. Last and final team, we got the Raiders. And we already know who the big dog is on the Raiders. It is Max Crosby. That's the guy. You want him on your squad, you better be paying up because he's always going as a top 10 guy for sure. And that's me being even a little bit lenient on that. A lot of times he's a top 5 guy who's getting drafted. The new guy over there, old face, new place, Christian Wilkins. He is going so late. I know he got an insane bag for the NFL. He's the interior defensive lineman. So I know a lot of people in IDP world were not targeting interior defensive linemen, but he is solid. He gets to the quarterback as well. And that's one of those things that if you get to the quarterback, I don't care if you play outside, I don't care if you play inside. Like, those are guys who we want to get as depth. And so Christian Wilkins is going to be a great defensive line depth piece for a lot of people, or you just draft him hella late and then he's your second starter, like as your defensive line. If you got two defensive linemen, like we play in 90% of the IDP leagues that I host. The linebackers, Robert Spillane, that's the guy. That's the guy that we want. You get him so late. And yeah, all he does is produce. So yeah, Robert Spillane, and that's the guy who I'm most excited about, is him. That's the guy who I'm probably going to have the most shares of out of everybody, because you're able to wait so long, and he's just a beast, man. He puts up a shitload of points. And outside of him, Divine Diablo, that would be the other guy. Really not a fan of Luke Masterson. We're leaving him there for someone who's foolish enough to go grab him. But yeah, Robert Spillane, Divine Diablo, those would be the two linebackers who I'd be targeting over here. Trayvon Moehrig, he's all right. Let's see if we can get a little bit of an uptick this year compared to last year. Marcus Epps, probably not messing with him at all. Mike Epps, a strange son over there. The guy who I'd be getting would be Nate Hobbs. That's the guy. Like, Nate, there's not too many games where Nate was going under 10 points. So like, you talk about a super consistent like cornerback. And Tino said Nate Hobbs basically got the whole right side. Yeah, look at that. He's locked in there as their right cornerback and as their nickel back. And because they move him around like that, he just gets a lot of tackles like that. That's the cool thing about him. If you play an IDP 1, 2, 3, very few games does he go under 10 points. A safe floor, doesn't have a super high ceiling, but he's been known to get a couple 20-point games here and there. He's just like a really safe floor. And Beg said, yeah, he's so expensive, but worth it. Mad Max is the GOAT. Yeah, Johnny said Nate Hobbs is a G when he's not hurt. Yeah, because that's one of his downfalls for sure. He lays the wood when he hits, and that's one of those things. He gets the brunt of it sometimes as well. Because, yeah, when they got him at nickel, whoever's going over the middle, he's the guy who's got to get him. So we only got 10 guys on the field. Don't worry, Nate Hobbs is there. Yeah, and Nate Hobbs going super late. So that's, yeah, super late. He's a great DB. Doesn't matter if you play in leagues with cornerbacks or not. He's one of those DBs you want to add as some bench depth. You're not going to have to draft him as a starter. So that's one of the best things about most of these guys on the Raiders. Really, the only guy who you're not going to draft as bench depth on the Raiders is Max Crosby. Everybody else, you're able to get hella late. And Chris said he lays that wood as well. Big pause. All right. So here we go. Everybody who's watching live, hang out with us. We're ending the IDP divisional breakdown video here for the AFC. AFC West, if you haven't subscribed and you're watching this on replay, hit that subscribe button. There are very few channels that are going to be bringing you any kind of IDP information, so make sure you stay here. During the season, you're going to be able to come in for Q&As, ask your IDP questions along with offensive questions. So if it's your first time here, smash that subscribe and hit the bell, turn on the notifications, and we'll see you guys for the AFC North IDP divisional breakdown video. That's the one coming next.